الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردن الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم everyone. Surah Yasin they say is like the heart of the Quran because it includes almost everything that's required in the religion of Islam. It touches the base on almost everything. After Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Yasin wal Quran al-Hakim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the Quran as a witness by the wise Quran that the Prophet Muhammad is a messenger of God. So if you have an engineer and you want proof from them that they are an engineer, one way is that they show you one of the buildings that they have engineered and it has become an actuality. So the Holy Quran is from God and Prophet Muhammad is the messenger. Anyone who is able to read it will be able to see that. In fact, 1400 years ago, not a single person has been able to write anything like the Holy Quran, not even a single small surah, let alone that, not even a single line. For example, Sulaymat al-Kadhab, someone who wanted to lie to say, I can make something like the Quran, he said something like Surah Al-Fil. The translation of it is, sorry, that light is in my eyes, sorry. Thanks. The other one. He said the elephant is big, it has a long nostril and a short tail, and he wanted to make something like that. So other than that, which is nothing to do with the Quran or religion, no one has been able to do anything like that. So the Holy Quran is by itself a proof and evidence, and God is using it to say that the Prophet Muhammad is a prophet of God. Muhammad ibn Abdullah in person himself. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Now, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, إني تارك فيكم الثقلين كتاب الله وعترتي أهل بيتي لن يفترقا حتى يدخلان علي الحوض. So until Judgment Day, they will be together. So you can't separate them. What does this mean? For example, for you to have water, H2O, you need a chemical of oxygen and two chemicals of hydrogen. So together they form and they come together and form water. So the Prophet Muhammad is giving us thaqalain. Thaqalain means scales. So the Prophet Muhammad is giving us two scales. So God is giving us scales for this religion. So you want to see how is your religion compared to religion of Imam Ali alayhi salam? How is your prayer compared to the prayer of Imam Ali alayhi salam? A real living example. Basically, the Holy Quran representative that walks on 2 feet. In the Quran also it says وَيَتْلُوهُ شَاهِدٌ مِّنْهُ. So you know the tree by knowing its fruit. Genetically, this fruit belongs to that tree. So Imam Ali alayhi salam is another witness that Prophet Muhammad is the Prophet of God. وَيَتْلُوهُ شَاهِدٌ مِّنْهُ. Another example which a Wahhabi person, Saudi Arabia became a Shi'i for, he was able to confirm that Surah At-Tawbah was going to be given by the first Khalifa, Ibn Abi Quhafa, but then Prophet Muhammad, the angel came and told him, whilst he's going, after he went, tell him to come back, so it's evident that he is not allowed to do it, and send Imam Ali alayhi salam. وَيَتْلُوهُ شَاهِدٌ مِّنْهُ. So someone from him, not from outside, says the Quran. Another ayah is ayat al-mubahala وَأَنفُسَنَا وَأَنفُسَكُمْ, as the doctor Abdul Sa'ad has mentioned. That someone from Prophet Muhammad, which is Imam Ali alayhi salam. The one who's the nephew of Prophet Muhammad is Imam Ali alayhi salam. So in spite of the world of theories of what's the best example of the Quran, of say religion, salah, everything, being generous, we have a real living example. So who's the real living example other than Ahlul Bayt across history? If you research, which someone has done, and they've written a very large book about, and they've made a comparative study. So last time we talked about generosity, and I believe this is the last night. So there is generosity The reason why I'm saying, because this is in line with the lectures of akhlaq. Generosity, there's someone that could come to you and tell you, could you please help? Knock on your door, just like they did to the door of Fatima al-Zahra and Ahlul Bayt. And you could tell them, go to another door. You could tell them, I don't want. If you don't give them, that means you're not generous. You're cheap, possibly. Generosity is when you give, when you're asked. There is a level higher, and we also mentioned that. That's Jude. And that's when you give to somebody before they ask. For example, one person came to Imam Ali alayhi salam, and before he speaks, he told him, don't speak. I can see that you need, it's on your face. And he gave him. So before someone asks. And above that is Ithar. So Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, when they did the 3 nights of Siyam, and the first night, they had a miskin that knocked on their door. Miskin means somebody is faqir, means they have a house, but just that night they don't have enough. But miskin means they have nothing. That means that night they're gonna sleep hungry. So they gave him all the breads. The bread of Imam Ali and Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain, Fatima al-Zahra, and fidda. The second night a yatim came. A yatim means like orphan. And the third night was a bit interesting. Wa asira. So asira is an enemy that was fighting the Muslims, and he came to them. So they even gave him everything. So that is called ithar. It affects them when it's like you have food, you have a meal, and your friend has a meal. You give your meal to your friend. You stay hungry so that they can eat. That's ithar. That's above Jude, and above karam, generosity. Now there is a next level, and it's called muwasat. When one of the sheikhs was given the gift of an air conditioner, they came to him and they told him, you can have this. He said, what is this? They told him, well, it's going to keep you cold in the hot days of summer. He looked at it and he remembered his friend who's sitting in prison without an air conditioner. He said, no, my friend doesn't have air conditioner. I want to do muwasat, feel for my friend, my colleague. Now, when Abu Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam, and this takes a level of religion to be able to attain. Not just anyone is going to say, I don't need an AC when it's hot. When Abu Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam, in his example, he got the water in his hand. I don't know if you know that you can't really taste water. You can't really smell water. It doesn't have a smell. But Abu Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam, when he got the water and naturally he got it close to himself, to his mouth, he felt the cold of the water, so he naturally did that. When he did that, then he said something which was really huge. He said, Ya nafs, min ba'd al-Hussein huni. He wished death upon himself. He's willing to go to death, but not leave muwasat for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, for the Imam of his time, for his brother. So this level of muwasat is not really attainable by just power of will, as the doctor mentioned yesterday. So you can't just do muwasat like that. You have to really have a high level of religion. Be aware of your religion. To complete my talks, I will also give the last example of how I said there is prophets, there is imams, there is messenger, and there is the messenger of messenger. And this, I hope, is a new topic for your ears. In Surah Al-Yasin, the Quran mentions بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين. The Sayyid, the Marji' says, this was the messengers of Jesus Christ. They were not prophets of God. The messengers of Jesus, they came to this town, to this village, and they were giving the message to these people. 2 messengers came. that was not enough, the Quran mentions, and a third one, فَعَزَّزْنَا بِثَالِثٍ, and a third messenger came. They were not prophets. What this means, the Sayyid says, is that any one of you can potentially reach that level and become a messenger of Prophet Muhammad. خير خلق الله Muhammad ibn Abdullah. For inshallah, we ask Allah inshallah to help us become the messenger of God, Prophet Muhammad, for the people and give them the message of the Prophet. One more last point is Imam. You might think, why don't we have Anbiya after Prophet Muhammad? Isn't their level higher? Well, Imam has a higher level, but Imam, especially this rank is chosen because the Imam doesn't give anything new. He follows exactly with the Risala. Nabi does not give the message. The Imam follows the same manhaj and line. So that's why they have to know everything what the Prophet knows as a requirement for the religion. So their level is very high. Thank you for listening, and inshallah, Allah increases our knowledge and our belief and iman. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We enter on this blessed 9th night of the holy month of Muharram, where we commemorate the martyrdom of the leader of this incredible revolution, the savior of the religion of Islam, the grandson of Rasulullah, Abdul Hussain عليه الصلاة والسلام. Brother Sa'id made some incredible points, and one in particular, inshallah. Just go back to what we mentioned earlier in the night before last when we were discussing the sermon of Amir al-Mu'mineen in Nahj al-Balagha. Brother Sa'id was mentioning the phrase Kitabullahi wa itrati ahl bayti, the book of Allah and the Ahlul Bayt. These two are joined together, and he gave a beautiful example, H2O, the elements that form water. Now, as we mentioned that particular night, Islam at the surface level, it's like, for example, we gave the example of a gold mine. You go towards a gold mine, you have rocks, you have mud. You have to dig deep. You have to put in effort, rummage through all of that rock, all of that mud in order to extract the gold. And it's the very same thing with the religion of Islam, extracting the gold of the religion, which is of course Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, the true understanding of the Quran, of the religion of Islam, how to pray, how to fast, how to conduct yourself, the kind of morals and mannerisms, having a society that is built upon the foundation of justice, forgiveness, mercy, and compassion. And these things are explored so beautifully in that particular sermon. So inshallah, with that said, just one final thing I'd like to ask everyone. Brother Jahangir will be departing from Australia soon. Inshallah, we wish him a safe travel. He's not here with us tonight. He was there with us some of the previous nights. Inshallah, we get a chance to meet him again. For his well-being, for his safety, success, and prosperity. Inshallah, please recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. With that said, I'd like to invite our dear and respected, beloved Dr. Abdul Sa'ad to deliver the main lecture for tonight. Please welcome him with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. صدق الله العلي العظيم. عظم الله تعالى أجوركم بمصاب أبي عبد الله الحسين صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي أبا عبد الله يا شهيد كربلاء. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا إمامي يا إمام الهدى. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Brothers and sisters, respected viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we have the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be together for another evening. And tonight, inshallah, the intention is to discuss a topic that was mentioned by some of the brothers in the discussion after last night's lecture, which relates to the concept of masculinity. And some of the brothers discussed self-esteem and improving our self-esteem as men. So inshallah, I want to touch on some points in this arena this evening, inshallah. Now, of course, we want to ground the discussion in the understanding that we have developed over the last 8 evenings. And that is, when we look at Imam Hussain alayhi salam, we see that he embodied a form of masculinity which was not purely horizontal. And I'm sure by now you're experts in what I mean by this. The masculinity that is presented to us in our modern culture is I'm calling it a horizontal masculinity, meaning it's this type of masculinity that is telling you how to get bigger, better, stronger, faster, more influential, more powerful on the horizontal plane, on the earth plane. If you study statistics, you'll know something called the bell curve, or the standard distribution, right? It's like the bell curve, where most things fall into a standard distribution. Like, for example, with height, most people are average, like center in the middle. Very few people are extremely short or have some congenital deformity. Very few people are over 2 meters tall and qualify for the NBA, right? Most people are in the middle. And the masculinity that our popular culture is teaching us is very much within that bell curve, excelling in horizontal attributes. And I'm not here to denigrate that. It's a good thing to be physically strong. It's a good thing to be physically fit. It's a good thing to be financially independent. These are all very important aspects of masculinity. However, what Imam Hussain alayhi salam teaches us is that for you to truly embody the fullness of the masculine, there has to be a vertical dimension to your masculinity. What does that mean? Meaning, there has to be something that you stand for that is above you, above your own self-interest, above your own individual desires and individual goals and accomplishments. At a purely horizontal level, at a purely terrestrial level, at a purely earthly level, it made no sense for Imam al-Hussein to go through the ordeal that he went through. Horizontally, the human nafs, the ego says, look, I'll pay allegiance. I will, my back's against the wall. What can I do? I need to survive. So we see that Imam al-Hussein here manifested a aspect of the masculine in which is very critical. And it's the aspect of the true masculine always has something that is above him. So although you, as a man, may embody power and strength, the true measure of a man is the man that surrenders to something higher and greater than him. He recognizes a higher order principle or ideal operating above him. He recognizes that he is ultimately a servant. He's here to be of service. And that's one of the core values of the masculine, to be of service. Which means as a man, as the masculine, as Imam Hussain alayhi salam perfectly embodied, he submitted himself to the will of God. He submitted himself to the will of his master, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in the modern conception of masculinity, every man is measured by himself. How strong I am. What are my goals? How big is my bank account? Man becomes a measure of himself. Whereas if we go back to our first lecture on ontology, a true man is measured by God. His relationship to the highest order principle governing the universe. And that's when you know the true masculine. That's when you test someone. So how does this relate to your life and my life? When you're tested with an ethical dilemma, a moral dilemma, where you can make a shortcut, you can make easy money, you can get away with something and the risk of you getting caught is negligible. Or maybe people will say, you know what, it's okay. We understand why you did that. It's in those moments where you as a man, that's when you're tested. That's when your mettle is tested. Whether you have something that Imam Hussain alayhi salam had in spades. He had karama, honor, sharaf, dignity. When he said to the tyrant, to Yazid, that one who is like me and of my lineage that is honorable does not give my allegiance to a dishonorable like you. So one of the vertical aspects of the masculine is that a man has principles that he will not compromise on. You have to have principles. You have to have red lines, right? Because if you don't have any principles, if you're unscrupulous, this is what's called Machiavellian. Who's heard of Machiavelli? Machiavellian. Well, Machiavellianism basically is he was a person who basically taught people how to gain the upper hand using power, psychology, and politics. So Machiavellianism, it can also be called utilitarianism, is that the ends justify the means. So if we have to kill the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to get our way, if I have to do that to get my kingdom of Ray like Umar ibn Sa'ad lanahullah, if we have to do that to gain power, fine, do it. This is Machiavellianism. And if you succumb to Machiavellianism where you stand for nothing, there's a couple of negative consequences. Obviously, it opens you up to becoming a member of Hizb al-Shaytan. But there's an even greater, not greater, but there's an even consequence on the horizontal plane. It makes you very unattractive. See, when I talk about what makes a man attractive, most people say muscles and looking good, which is true. I think most men, or all men, should have a sense of dignity, izzah, in terms of how they look and how they carry themselves. That's part of our religion. You should look good. You should smell good. You should eat clean, and we'll come to that. But this sense of having principles, standing for something, actually makes a man very, very attractive. He has izzah, he has dignity, he has honor. This is self-esteem. Because one of the fundamental features of the true masculine is what we call to be self-governing. I govern myself. I govern myself. According to what? according to the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we understand, as Imam Hussain alayhi salam understood, that we live in what's called a holographic universe. Who knows what a hologram is? See-through? Yeah. Yes. Now, who knows technically what's a hologram? You used to have them when you were a kid, the holograms, the holographic figures. So a hologram is a picture in which every part of the picture captures the whole of the picture. So if you zoom in to each little pixel, it contains the whole picture in that pixel. That's what a hologram is. So you say, how does this relate back to masculinity and Imam al-Hussain? Well, because Imam al-Hussain perfectly understood Tawheed, for him to give his allegiance to the tyrant Yazid would violate Tawheed. That would be a violation of his principles. So he could not compromise on that. What's an example in your life of this holographic principle? If you want to embody that masculinity, that principle of Tawheed and that Izzah, and to be self-governing, that means every aspect of your life has to represent, every part of your life has to represent the whole picture. So for example, the way that I eat, I can't say that I want to be healthy, I want to be very principled, I want to be able to withstand negative emotions, but the way that I'm eating is, it's all junk food and processed food, and I'm staying up late and I'm watching movies till 4 a.m. and I'm neglecting my duties. Because if that part of my life is out of order, then because we live in a holographic reality, each part has to represent the whole. So if to be holistic as a man means you're self-governing, your whole kingdom is in order, then every aspect of your kingdom has to be governed according to the same order. Can you point to any aspect of Imam al-Husayn's life that was not governed by Tawheed? That was not governed by the higher order principles? How he walked, or Imam Ali alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Every aspect of their life captured this holographic principle, which is basically Tawheed. That's why Imam Ali alayhi salam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, A'immatul Ma'sumin alayhi salam, their enemies couldn't catch one thing on them. Their public face and their private face was one and the same. They were living a unified existence. So the self-governance is a key aspect of the masculine, to be self-governing. And that means to have izzah, to have a sense of exaltation, not to put myself in positions where I disrespect myself, where I lower myself, where I give an allegiance to activities or habits or people that lower or denigrate my self-respect, because that's part of the masculine, to have self-respect. What does that mean practically? It means you can be anywhere in the world. You can be put in any situation as a man, and you're not going to lose your marbles. You're not going to lose your mind. You know who you are. I know who my God is. I know who my Prophet is. I know who my Imams are. I have my tasbih. I have my prayer mat. I can go to a grocery store and buy some simple ingredients. I can cook a healthy meal. If I don't manage to find friends in the city I'm at, I don't fall into a deep depression. I have a level of connection and closeness and intimacy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and I can keep myself, entertained isn't the right word, but I'm okay with solitude. This is the core of masculinity, izzah, independence. I'm not dependent. That doesn't mean I'm isolating from people and I say I don't need people. No, that's different. This is, if it's there, I can take it. If it's not there, it's fine. I'm not going to collapse into a depression. Wherever you put me, I'm going to be okay. Wherever you put me, I'm not going to sink into hopelessness and victimhood. I'm going to be okay. I can operate according to a basic baseline in my life. So this is an important part of to be masculine, is wherever you are in the world, whatever situation you're in, you have an internal GPS that can guide you. You're not going to sink into a deep depression, nor are you going to go into a manic elation and start doing silly things. The masculine is neutral, balanced, has izzah, has karama, has honor, is dignified, is rational. It doesn't mean you can't have fun. It doesn't mean you can't laugh. Yes, you can. But at the end of the day, you carry yourself with that masculine dignity as Imam Hussain alayhi salam did. And you stand on your principles. And you feel that you are rich, you are ghani. Because at the end of the day, I'm self-sufficient. I can be on my own and totally fine. I can have the whole world against me. Imam Ali alayhi salam, after all his sacrifices, after him being the apprentice of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, during his entire mission, Rasulullah raised Imam Ali. You know, Imam Ali alayhi salam was the apprentice to Rasulullah. Rasulullah was his master. Imagine being raised. Imagine completing an apprenticeship your whole life since you were a little boy. And you are coronated for the position. And at the moment where you are to assume the mastership, you've graduated to be the master, someone comes along completely unqualified, says, you stay on the sidelines. You stay on the sidelines. Imagine you studied to be a doctor for 20 years. And it's time to graduate. You're going to become a fellow of the College of Physicians. You're going to be the surgeon. And someone says, excuse me, we need you to stay home. This guy's going to take over. And the guy doesn't even have a medical degree. Most of us would lose our mind. Look at the izzah of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Look at the dignity. This because his masculinity was grounded in that vertical axis. Although he, in his heart, was he distraught, our Imam? Was he hurt? Yes, he was. He says, it's like a prickling of my eye. It's like you pricked my eye. But I'm going to take the dignified path. So, self-governance is a very, very important part of being masculine, to govern yourself. Because here's the thing. Let me ask you a question. Men who cannot govern themselves, where do they end up in society? Yes. They end up in jail. Because if you can't govern yourself, someone else has to govern you. They end up in jail. Exactly right, Hajj. Perfect answer. So to be a man is to be self-governing. I don't lose my mind. And this requires us as men to go through an apprenticeship. This is one of the secrets of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Each member of each Imam was the apprentice to the Imam that preceded him. So Imam Ali alayhi salam, he was an apprentice to who? Imam Ali was an apprentice to who? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi was his master. So masculinity requires guidance, role models. And the beauty of you being a Shia of Ali, is that you can access the guidance and role models of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, even though they are not physically present on earth. Not just by reading their sayings and ahadith, but by developing a living relationship with the Imams عليهم السلام through that vertical axis. And what you'll find is you develop that relationship and you understand the basics of your religion. And you understand that wherever I go, I'm not going to lose my mind. I know who I am. Wherever you put me, I know the basics of how to earn a halal income. I know how to feed myself. I can cook a basic meal. I know how to dress. I know how to converse with people. I have basic social skills. Wherever you put me, what is the core of the masculine? Self-sufficiency, independence, self-governance, self-referencing. This is Imam Hussain alayhi salam. He's self-governing. I don't need you. There is nothing that you can do to me that can make me sell out. That is the most attractive quality in a man. Self-governance. When does a man become unattractive? When he doesn't govern himself and he's governed by others. Oh, what do they think? What should I do? Are they going to like me? And you start scanning and your eyes going everywhere. Very unattractive. You don't have the izzah. You don't have the karama. You don't have that sense of honor and dignity. I'm a man. What does it mean to be a man? Does it mean to be a macho and bash people? No, it means to be independent. Whatever happens, even if I suffer a setback in my life, a heartbreak, a job loss, I say, Alhamdulillah, I have my izzah, I have my self-respect, right? I might be down, but I'm not out. Like we said a few nights ago, it's no shame to get knocked down. But it is a shame to make the decision to stay down. So, what we're seeing here is that this conception of the masculine as having a connection to the vertical, as being self-governing, having self-respect, honor, principles, goes beyond the concept of self-esteem. Because self-esteem is a very horizontal concept. It's like, give me a strategy, give me a hack that can help increase my self-esteem. Give me something that helps me get a bit of a boost. Okay, but based on what? You're going to get a boost because you attracted a girl or you grew muscles? So what? It's not based on anything. So whatever you do, build muscle, work out, eat clean, dress good, but ultimately ground it in something higher than something to do with your fellow human beings and what you can gain from them, or they will like you more, or you'll be more attractive. Ground it to a higher order principle. So for example, if I'm a man and I'm working out and I'm eating clean, how does that connect to Tawheed? How does that connect me to Tawheed? To be integrated and unified and have a purified body and have a good posture and be upright and to be able to say no to processed junk food that's made by tyrannical multinational corporations. Take it to the highest order level. So do the work on the horizontal plane, but connect it vertically, Because if you connect what you do to that vertical plane, the highest order principle, guess what will happen? You won't quit because you have a reason to do it now. You have a reason to do it because it's linked to an identity, right? So I don't want to upset people here. But if we claim to be the Shia of Ali, الصلاة والسلام, we would all agree that part of that would be to develop certain skills and competencies in certain areas. And I'm going to give you 4 core areas that we might want to look at as men. Now, the benefit of this, what I'm talking about here, is although we're not doing it to gain a dunyawi, worldly advantage, if you integrate yourself and integrate your masculinity, you will be more attractive. Why? Why would you be more attractive, let's say, to the opposite gender? Because the opposite gender, no matter all that's happening in society, it's still governed by some fundamental laws. The feminine is still attracted to what in the masculine? What are they attracted to in men? Yeah, strength. Strength. They're so attracted to it, they will go for pseudo or false strength, even if it mimics strength. Like a guy acting tough. Strength. Another way to look at this is to be internally congruent. Nothing can shake me. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. Right? Rather than, this is who I am, this is who I stand for. Do you accept me? Am I good enough for you? No, that's not strength. Strength is, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. And because I'm assured of who I am, because I know who my God is, because I know, I understand I live ontologically in a God-centered universe. I understand cosmologically that it's governed by the laws of Tawheed, so I govern my life by Tawheed. I understand anthropologically that I'm his vicegerent. And I understand psychologically that my main enemy is shaitan. Wow, you integrate your life around those dimensions that I just mentioned, you will distinguish yourself in the society. You will be distinguished as a man. So, as men, there are 4 core dimensions that we need to develop skills in managing in our life. Because the masculine is the force of management, governance, order, taking things from chaos to order. That is the masculine energy. We have to be able to manage our physicality. Whether we like it or not, we live on earth, and this is our physical carriage. It's like our horse and buggy. So you've got to look after your body. Basic things as a man. Right? You got to know the basics of nutrition. How to eat clean. How to cook a basic meal. Understand, and I'm getting into some, these are very horizontal aspects, but they link to the vertical. Because if you have a weak, sick, low immunity body, can you manifest the fullness of the Izzah? Can you manifest the fullness of the vicegerent of Allah? Maybe you can, but it's going to be easier with an upright, good body, right? Healthy body. Which is an amana that Allah gave you. So basic skills for men. Understanding the basics of nutrition. Can you go to a grocery store, select some basic items and put together a simple, nutritious meal? So you're self-sufficient. Wherever you land, right, you can eat some healthy food. You can cook for yourself. You're not reliant on someone to feed you. That's an important part of having that self-governance. I know how to feed and fuel my body. Is your sleep regulated? Are you well hydrated? Do you respect this physical carriage, this physical machine that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you, which houses your spirit? Because if the physical body becomes very, very weak, it can have an impact on the spiritual body unless you are really, really advanced in your spiritual life. Like you are really connected high up to that vertical chain. For most of us, as soon as our body is in pain, what happens to our spirituality? Drops. Because we drop down to the physical plane, the earth plane. We're in pain, we've got a toothache, I've got my stomach, I'm bloated, I'm constipated. So the physical affects the spiritual. So part of being masculine is maintaining your physical carriage, but not purely for the dunya, to look good and to show off, but to say, no, this is part of my dignity, my izzah as the vicegerent of Allah. And I eat and I hydrate and I nourish my body in a way that conforms with Tawheed. I have awareness. I don't squander my money on the multinational corporations. That doesn't mean that you can't enjoy a meal or a snack. I'm not saying that. But if that's all you're eating, and your fitra will tell you, I don't feel good, I'm out of shape, that's going to affect you spiritually. Remember, Imam Hussain was a warrior. He was a warrior, he was a fighter, he was a soldier. He was a multi-dimensional man. Islamic masculinity is multi-dimensional. The masculinity that you're being sold on social media is unidimensional. Has one dimension, one axis to it. Just look good physically, have a big bank account. So we're looking today at, first of all, the physical aspect. You need to be able to have governance over your physical body, your physical environment as a man. Basic skills. The second dimension that you need to have some basic skills in as a man is the emotional dimension of your life. You suffer a setback. You suffer a heartbreak. A relationship doesn't go right. You're engaged to someone, it doesn't work out. Do you have the capacity to process what happened, learn the lesson, and be resilient and bounce back? That doesn't mean to block it out or bury it or take a whole bunch of drugs. That's what most people do. But to say, as a man, what's the lesson I can learn from this, even though I'm in pain? Do you have the skills to tend to your emotional life? Because what happens with men when they are unskilled in managing their emotions, what are some of the stupid things they start doing? They start taking what? They start taking drugs, they start drinking alcohol. Who gains a foothold into their life? Which entity? Shaitan. Because like I said yesterday, when does shaitan come in? When we're in a negative emotional state and he wants to sell us the upgrade package. Hey, I'll help you feel better. So you have to learn to manage your emotions as a man. And I've just given you two. If you can master managing your physicality and your emotional life, if you want to get married, you're going to be immediately very attractive to the opposite sex. You're going to be way ahead of most guys who, with respect, are clueless. They're clueless because no one's guiding them. No one's telling them. So you need to manage the physical dimension of your life. You need to manage the emotional dimension. What's the third one? The spiritual I'm going to come to, exactly the fourth, but the third one is the mental or intellectual dimension. How can you be wise if you're not exposing yourself to high consciousness material? Books, audiobooks, podcasts, not just on religious topics. Any topic you read, link it back to Tawheed, link it back to Ahlul Bayt. I'm reading a book on Dale Carnegie, how to win friends and influence people. Link it back to Imam Ali alayhi salam, who says, person with a sweet tongue, people will love you. Learn how to talk to people nicely. Link it to the Quran. So, in order for you to grow in wisdom as a man and manifest the divine attribute of hikmah that Imam Hussain manifested, hikmah, he had wisdom, he had a vision, his sacrifice, he situated it beyond his life. Imam Hussain situated his sacrifice within sacred history, within cosmic history. He situated it within the unfolding of the centuries until the eventual reappearance of his great-grandson, Imam al-Mahdi. You think Imam al-Hussain just had tunnel vision on what was happening in Karbala? So if you want hikmah, wisdom, you better be reading books. And if you can't read books, you better be listening to audiobooks, YouTube lectures, not just on religion. How to generate income, how to have good social skills, how to understand world history, how to understand politics. This is one of the features of an imam, one of the features of a vicegerent, one of the features, for example, when Imam al-Khomeini established the Islamic Republic of Iran, and he codified his political theory of wilayat al-faqih, the right of the rule of the jurist, the faqih. He laid out that basically the faqih isn't just some researcher in a little scholarly cubicle. A faqih has to have knowledge of politics, warfare. He has to be aware of what are the potential threats facing the Muslim community. You have to do that as a husband and as a father when you're married. So you have to be able to maintain yourself physically. You have to be able to regulate yourself emotionally so you don't lose your marbles. Because when you're emotionally dysregulated and you're flying off the handle and you're reacting, is that masculine or non-masculine? That's non-masculine. You know what masculine is? Calm. Neutral. Hey, calm down. Let's talk about it. What's happening? That's masculine. Masculine isn't, hey, let's fight. Why'd you look at me for? That's not masculine. That's actually feminine. Have you seen girls fight? When they pull each other's hair and bite each other and go crazy?
I wouldn't call it feminine, I would call it feminist. Because when I think of feminine, it should be what a woman should be.
It's a good qualification, Haj. Let's say it's the shadow feminine. It's the dark side of the feminine. Right? That's what I mean. Thank you for the clarification, Haj. Yeah, it's the side of the negative feminine. So mentally, you have to be consuming information, because unless you're growing and consuming information, then your brain doesn't grow. And you meet people like that. You meet them 10 years later. They haven't learned, haven't read a book, haven't grown. They have the same old opinions. They have the same old stereotypes, same old dogmas. And the fourth dimension is the spiritual, as Haj Hussain said. Now, the spiritual dimension that a man has is what makes him have a heart. It's what makes him not become a cold-hearted tyrant. That if his children make a mistake, he doesn't tyrannize them. He doesn't terrorize them. That when he comes home, his wife and kids aren't terrified of Baba. Or that if someone makes an error, he can be forbearing and forgiving. So that's all right, brother. All good. Doesn't hold these grudges. If a man doesn't have a spiritual dimension, which is his heart, his connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a sense of humility before God and before the greatness of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, then no matter how powerful you are, how big you are, how strong you are, you have failed as a man. You need all these four dimensions: the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual. Now, the spiritual dimension is most important. The power in this tasbih, if you understood its power, can get you out of a lot of difficulty. Because sometimes you have a problem and you say, okay, what can I physically do? Can I solve it? Can I fight it? Can I use my body? I can't physically. Can I deal with it emotionally? Dead end. There is no emotion. I'm in pain. There's no way that I can reframe it, rethink it. I can't mentally get myself out of this. Who do we surrender to? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a true man. That you have someone above you that governs you. Any just governor recognizes them as the one that governs him. If a man becomes the absolute governor, he makes his own rules, he's going to fall into fusuq, deviation, fasad. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, had the heavens and the earth followed their desires, it would have been corrupted. That's what happens when you have a governor or caliph or ruler or father or business owner or CEO who governs according to his own measure, his own ego, his own nafs. Because what does the nafs do? It gives you justifications. It rationalizes things for you. It says, oh, no, that's okay. We can do this. That's okay. You can do this. You can do this. Why do you think they fought Imam Ali alayhi salam? Can you find someone in history more masculine than Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam? He truly was, along with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the perfect man. What do I mean by that? Meaning, he embodied the perfection of what it means to be a man. His enemies could not find one speck against the man, because he understood the holographic principle. He understood the Tawheed principle. Every part of his life was governed by Tawheed. You know the famous incident when he was the Khalifa and he was doing the equivalent of paperwork in the evening. And he was using the candle that was for the government. And he had visitors as the Khalifa. But those visitors were visiting him on a personal matter, not related to the state. So Imam Ali alayhi salam blew out that candle and lit another candle. And said, "Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, why did you do that?" He said, "Because this candle is for official work, for the government, for the treasury. You're visiting me for a personal matter." That's a man. He's governed by something higher than himself. And because of that, when pressure is applied, he doesn't collapse. He doesn't become like jelly. He maintains his posture. That's true strength. You have a set of principles that govern you. But those principles that you're governed by aren't man-made. Aren't some philosophy that you're taught by some French philosopher or some atheist professor at uni. It's the government of the Lord of the universe. And because Imam Ali alayhi salatu wassalam lived his whole life governed by Tawheed, when he was struck by the sword of Ibn Muljam lanahullah, what did our Imam say? Fistu wa Rabbul Kaaba. You say, wow, that's pretty weird. Why would you say that for? You say, oh my God, what life have I had? What treachery? What did I get for all my work? I was with the Prophet. They betrayed me and now I'm being struck. That's what most men would have said. What a raw deal. What did Amir al-Mu'mineen say? Fistu Rabbul Kaaba. I have succeeded by the Lord of the Kaaba. Because he understood that his masculinity was grounded ultimately in that vertical axis. And according to that vertical axis, he truly was victorious. He said, this whole world to me is like the sneezing of a goat. I don't want it and I don't need it. So I hope, my brothers, that I've given you today a deeper model, a deeper way of reflecting and understanding your masculinity, which is a gift. And I want to leave you with one final piece of advice. Whenever things get tough, whenever you feel low, whenever you've had a setback, I want you to say, Alhamdulillah, for the miracle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created me as a man. Alhamdulillah that He has given me this honor and dignity to be His vicegerent. Alhamdulillah that I have the ability to be independent. Whatever happens in the world, I have my Lord. I have my A'immat al-Ma'sumin. I have my masters and my guides. I belong to a school of thought that is so rich in guidance. Alhamdulillah. And I want you, when you're feeling down, to go for that walk, to do your tasbih, to do tawassul, to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance, to feel izzah, feel that pride that you are a follower of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And of course, we're not often great followers of him, but we love him and we want to emulate and follow him. Right? So at the end of the day, I want you to hold your head up high. I want you to understand these principles and to make an intention to live your life in a way that is self-governing. That whatever happens, even when the chips are down, you say, you know what? At least I can back myself. At least I haven't lost my dignity. It's not worth it, brothers. Thank you for your attention, my brothers. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Brother Hussain, did you want to proceed with the program, or shall I stay on the podium for questions?
So just a few questions.
A few questions? Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Do you think we need like a sort of meditation for the spiritual uplift?
Yes, meditation is. I mean, I would say that creating a sacred space, which is time for your prayers, time for the tasbih. So I wouldn't say necessarily that I'm recommending people meditate as an actual practice of meditation. You could do that. I don't think that Islam would, I don't think there's anything wrong Islamically. But meditation is a specific practice. I think what's captured in that is sacred space, making time to disconnect from this purely horizontal plane. And that's our daily prayers. That's the ziyarah. That's reading Quran, listening to high consciousness material that disconnects us from the rat race that we're in, that reconnects us with dhikr, with remembrance. But certainly meditation can be a tool in that toolkit. But it's not everyone's cup of tea. What I find personally powerful is contemplation. So meditation is you're sitting there and you're trying to still your breathing, still your thinking, empty your mind. That's challenging for most people. Contemplation is a bit different. Contemplation is you take, let's say, a verse of the Quran, or you take a saying. So you know what, today I'm going to make an intention to contemplate, to reflect on this verse. And I'm going to relate what happens in my day to this verse, to this idea, to this principle. That's contemplation. It's also very powerful. Tadabbur in Arabic, tadabbur, reflection, contemplation. So I often will go for walks and I will look at the trees and I'll contemplate. Say, SubhanAllah, look at the tree. Look at the izzah the tree has. It's standing upright and its branches are outstretched, and that everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates in its fitrah is seeking expansion. Look at a baby, a toddler. It's seeking expansion, seeking growth. It's seeking to expand. And the forces that are anti-life, anti-Adam, seek to constrict us, to restrict us, right? So just by looking at a tree, you can start to contemplate. And this is where you develop a sacred psychology. Because the way that we're taught in school, we have what's called a profane psychology. You look at everything as horizontal. You look at a tree, oh yeah, that's a tree. Look at a baby, oh, that's a cute baby. There's no sense of the sacred. Our reality has been desacralized. That's why we're so depressed and anxious and addicted. Because our fitrah isn't being fed. I hope that answers your question, brother. Any other questions or comments before we wrap up? Brother Sa'id?
That's enough. So you said Imam Ali alayhi salam said he doesn't want it. What does he not want exactly? Can you specify, please?
The dunya and its allures and its illusions and its attractions and its pleasures and its status.
But he also says the dunya is the place where the prophets of God got the really high places. I would like you to specify, like.
Yes, Imam Ali alayhi salam does not denigrate the dunya. Islam is not like Buddhism or Hinduism that says you have to become like a monk and live in a cave. No. You are born in the world. You have responsibilities. You have a duty. You have a purpose. You have a mission. You're part of a community. You also have halal leisure and pleasure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows for you in the dunya. But what the Imam is saying is, at the end of the day, I'm not going to compromise myself for it. If it means compromising on my principles, no way, it's worthless to me. It's like the sneezing of a goat. Habibi. Any other? Hajj?
Anyone else? You have any question? What do you think about manifestation? What's the Islamic perspective of manifestation?
Oh, wow, that's a deep question. Wow, that's a whole other lecture. I don't think it's black and white. I think that manifestation is really, from an Islamic perspective, setting an intention and doing the work in alignment with that intention to manifest or achieve a goal. So, for example, you want to go for ziyarah. You could say that's a form of manifestation. You want to go for ziyarah. So you have the thought in your mind, I want to go for ziyarah. You develop an emotional link with that thought. You feel excited, you have a commitment. And then you start taking action to manifest that as a reality. You go online, you call a travel agent, you book the tickets, and all of a sudden, oh, I'm in Karbala visiting Imam Hussain. I'm in Najaf visiting Amir al-Mu'minin. So you could say manifestation isn't necessarily anti-Islamic, but the language that's used in the popular manifestation books can be problematic from an Islamic perspective, because it's saying your God, or the universe is some sort of God. It's not grounded it's not grounded explicitly in Tawheed, but I wouldn't throw it all away and say it's completely un-Islamic. It can be integrated with Islam. There is some use to it. For people to understand how to set goals, how to be in alignment with their goals, how to develop an emotional connection to a goal they want. I wouldn't dismiss the manifestation literature and books for those who are grounded in Tawheed and can make the appropriate adjustments when they're reading the books. Right? Okay, brother? Yes?
Anyone else?
May I add a comment if you don't mind?
Yes, of course.
So they say Imam al-Mahdi. Who's al-Mahdi? They say al-Mahdi is anyone who is the savior. No, we Shia say al-Mahdi is the son of Imam al-Hasan al-Askari, the son of Imam Ali al-Hadi, the son of, until Prophet Muhammad. He's a specific person. With God, they say, it's a divine power, it's a holy above power. We say no, God is an actual, like قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. So
Yes.
So if we probably, as you said, see it from that perspective, that grounded perspective, then we can get use of it.
Exactly.
Maybe.
And the other, exactly, Sayyid, barakallah fiqh. And the other thing with manifestation is, for Muslims, is whatever you want to achieve or manifest, ground it. It has to be integrous. Has to have integrity. So it can't be a non-integrous goal that would be spiritually destructive. That's not really going to work. Okay? Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Did you have a question, brother?
No
Apologies,
question.
we're gonna wrap up.
Just one final thought.
Yes.
Just to because it's very deep and incredible talk, and
Yes.
I kind of felt that idea of self-sustainability, self-independence, all of that. For me, it's summarized in the title of Imam Adi al-Rida, Ar-Radi bil-Qadri wal-Qada,
La ilaha
the one
illallah.
who is always content with the divine decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what situation he's in. And you see
Yes.
the Imams facing different situations across their lives, different, how do you call it, different nominators, or what's the top? Different numerators,
yes,
but
yes,
the
yes.
common
different context, different, but yes.
but the common denominator is that ridwan, that contentment in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, constant. That's
Yes.
a constant.
Yes, because as we were saying, their masculinity was connected to that vertical dimension. So if I'm connected to the Lord of the universe, if I know, and this is where the dunya will test us. This is where it's really hard for most people to hold their resolve. You mean everyone's going to take this and I'm not going to take it? There must be something. No, I'm not going to take it. No, it's a no. But you lose your job. I'm not going to take it. No. You stand by your convictions. Very few people can do that, unfortunately. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, just a little bit of echo for the Masa'ib. Tonight is, of course, as we mentioned, the Shahadat, the martyrdom of our dear and beloved Abi Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. Imam al-Hussain has witnessed the butchering of his companions and his family members on the plains of Karbala. And a little less, please, a little bit less. And Imam al-Hussain, peace and blessings be upon him, he has witnessed the slaughter of Awn and Muhammad, Qasim ibn al-Hassan, Ali al-Akbar, all of these incredible, valiant warriors on the plains of Karbala. And Abbas, peace and blessings be upon him, he has witnessed the final moment of Abbas alayhi salatu wassalam, where he is overwhelmed with guilt because the water skin that he filled with the water from the Furat, it was pierced by an arrow and the water was spilled across the sands of Karbala, unable to reach his beloved niece Sukaina salamullahu alayha. And in this manner Abbas passed away in the arms of his beloved brother Abi Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. Imam al-Hussain looks towards the people as he sees the dead and dismembered bodies of his companions and family members, and he says, هل من ذبان يذب عن حرم رسول الله? Is there anyone to stand behind the family of the Messenger of Allah? Imam al-Hussain, peace and blessings be upon him, is the last one remaining. As he is about to exit the tent, his sword drawn, Sayyida Zainab salamullahu alayha approaches him. And as she approaches him, she calls him Yabna al-Zahra, taking the name of her mother Fatima al-Zahra salamullahu alayha. And this adds to the sorrow, the grief and the heartbreak of Abi Abdullah al-Hussain as he remembers his beloved mother Fatima al-Zahra. Zainab salamullahu alayha tells Imam al-Hussain that on this day, she told her to kiss Imam al-Hussain upon the forehead and upon the chest, because this noble chest, this noble forehead would be struck by the enemy forces during his final moments. And with his farewell said to Sayyida Zainab and the heartbreaking farewell to his daughter Sayyida Sukaina salamullahu alayha, Imam al-Hussain charges towards the battlefield, striking down one foe after another. Anyone who comes across him, they run away. Imam al-Hussain is such a force of warrior to be reckoned with. Imam al-Hussain is striking them down. He is striking them down one by one, but they begin to shower him with arrows and with stones. One of the stones strikes the noble forehead of Abi Abdullah al-Hussain, the same forehead that was just kissed by his beloved sister Sayyida Zainab salamullahu alayha. And an arrow strikes him straight in the chest, the same chest that was kissed by Sayyida Zainab salamullahu alayha. And Imam al-Hussain falls from his horse. The soldiers avoid coming too close to him for too long. Instead they strike and then run, they strike and run, except for Shimr la'natullah alayh. He kicks Imam al-Hussain in the leg. He sits upon the blessed chest of Abi Abdullah. He pulls out his dagger and he begins to stab him upon the chest. He stabs him again and again. He stabs Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam 14 times on the chest, and then he rises. He draws his sword, and he cuts the head of Imam al-Hussain. Imam al-Hussain has departed from this world, and the survivors of the camp, they are in complete sorrow and grief. Everyone has been lost, and there is no one left to defend them. There is no one left to defend the body of Abi Abdullah al-Hussain. The soldiers come forward and they begin to loot his body. They take his helmet, they take his armor. And some of the soldiers, they try to take the ring from the finger of Abi Abdullah. And when they cannot take the ring from his finger, when they cannot take the ring, they cut the finger of Imam al-Hussain. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Inshallah, please rise for Latam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjahum. Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain ya Mawla. Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain ya Mawla. Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain ya Mawla. Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain ya Mawla, Hussain. Hussain, 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 Hussain. The night of Ashura is here, my final moments are near. All my brave soldiers are gone, with Allah they carry on. The night of Ashura is here, my final moments are near. All my brave soldiers are gone, with Allah they carry on. Hussain, Hussain, Ya Hussain, Hussain, Hussain. My beloved nephew Qasim cut to pieces, I buried him. Oh dear Aun and Muhammad, can you two hear me grieving? My sweet Asghar, my strong Akbar, both of them brought to slaughter. Brother Abbas, my flag bearer, like you I won't surrender. Hussain, 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 Hussain. Ya Zainab, why do you stop me? Martyrdom is my destiny. I must fight until the end. I am your final defense. Why do you bring up our mother? Her name makes my heart shatter. Soon I will be joining her. I go towards the hereafter. Hussain, 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 Hussain. O enemies, O cursed ones, killers of my noble sons, you slaughtered an infant child, pierced his neck, you're truly vile. I carry my father's sword, I'll make hell your last abode. I am the son of Haydar, to whom believers gathered. Hussein, 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 Hussein. Ya Hussein, 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 Hussein. With Zulfiqar in my hands, I'll spill your blood on the sands. You are cowards, you are frail, no matter what you will fail. I am one man, you are thousands, still I strike you like a lion. Haidar's blood flows inside me, bringing death to the enemy. Hussein, 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 Hussein. Ya Hussein, Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein. Will you run from me like cowards? Can you not withstand my power? You shoot your arrows and stones, tearing through my flesh and bones. Even if you cut off my head, I will not truly be dead. I go to meet my grandfather. To Allah you will answer. Oh dear Zainab, please do not cry. Today I was meant to die. You are the voice of Karbala. Jahidu fi sabilillah. Hussein, 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 Hussein. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, we conclude with ziyarat and dua faraj with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.